Good morning, my friends. I hope everyone can see and hear me, and I hope everyone is doing fine. As I told you in my introduction video, I do plan on doing some read alouds like this for those of you who cannot be on the live lessons. I realize that is not going to be able to work for everybody. So I just wanted to introduce you to our new chapter book. I know in class we were reading a Magic Treehouse book. However, right now I haven't got into school yet, so I thought I'd start us off with a new one, which is entitled The Case of the Kidnapped Candy. And I know for me, when I read that title, I was thinking to myself, kidnapped candy? Never really heard of that. I can readily recall when I taught third grade that the one time I let a couple kids go back to the classroom to use the bathroom. At that time, we were able to keep the doors open, and the kids were able to go back into the classroom as long as they were with a buddy. And I had some Smarties candies on my teacher's desk, and I knew how many I had counted out. And when I came back, there was a couple missing. And I hate to say it, but I think a couple kids did take the candy. Actually, they admitted to doing it later. So I don't know if I would necessarily call that kidnapped candy, but that's the only thing I could come up with that relates to this term. So here's the cover of the book, which you should know that that's the front cover. We do that in class all the time. Think to yourself, what is this called? Hopefully you should be saying to yourself or out loud, the back cover. What about this? The spine. And again, here's the title, The Case of the Kidnapped Candy. And when I look at the book, I can count the number of words in the title. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This book was written by a man named James Preller, and hopefully you're thinking of our song that we used to sing in class. The author writes the words, the author writes the words, hi-ho the dairy-o, the author writes the words. Now, as you know, many chapter books do not have that many pictures in it. So when you're reading, or when I'm reading aloud today, I invite you to visualize or put a little picture or have a little movie running inside of your head, because that's what you need to do as you move away from picture books. Okay, and as you know, just like with Magic Treehouse and Junie B. Jones, there is a table of contents which details the chapter titles and on what page they begin. So we're first going to begin with chapter 1 entitled The L Word, beginning on page 1. So today, as I'm reading aloud, again, I want you to put a picture in your mind of what is going on, and then be able to talk about what happens in this chapter with someone at home, whether or not it be your older brother or sister if you have one, your parents, maybe you have grandparents visiting from out of state or outside the town. Chapter 1, the L word. Love stinks. Don't get me wrong. I like love. I love love. I love my mom and dad, jigsaw puzzles, grape juice, and the New York Mets. Some days I even love my big brothers. At least on days they're not calling me worm, shorty, or peanut. But as my mom likes to say, everything has its place, even love. It belongs in gushy birthday cards from my Aunt Harriet, good night kisses, those weird cooing noises everyone makes when there's a baby around. Here's where it doesn't belong. And you're probably thinking to yourself, Miss Hostetter said that word doesn't a weird way. I did that because that word is in italics or italicized print where it's kind of slanted. So the author wants us to read it a certain way. So I'll read it again so you can hear it. Here's where it doesn't belong. On the baseball field, at the dentist, in room 201. Now, at this point, we don't know what he means or what the author means, or the boy telling the story, the boy or girl telling the story, what they mean by in room 201. But we certainly can put on our thinking cap and do a little inferring. I read that love doesn't belong in room 201. Thinking that this is a young boy, because he talks about his mom and dad and brothers, thinking he's probably in school, so I can probably use my thinking skills, my inferring skills, to think that in room 201 means his classroom, because I know we also have a room number, room 112, at Hammond Elementary. And that's how all the trouble started, because this week, room 201 was all about love. Right after Valentine's Day, our teacher, Miss Gleason, started us on a new unit, poetry. Love poetry. Oh yeah, you heard me right. Love poetry. We read lots of poems. None of them made much sense. And unfortunately, boys and girls, as you become a better reader, you're going to be able to read a lot better, but sometimes understanding what you read, that's where the problem's going to come in. Poems are very, very difficult to read. I tutor kids from anywhere from kindergarten to like 10th grade. And even though they are really good readers as they get older, sometimes understanding a poem is very difficult. Listen to some of the excerpts or parts of the poems. How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. Love looks not with the eyes, but with the mind. Love's not times full. Again, kind of hard to understand. Here's a picture. Looks like this is probably the person telling the story. He looks pretty bored at the poetry provided by the teacher. He should be sitting in RTL like you should be, ready to learn. Show me slant. Good job. Give me a break. I mean, who talks like that anyway? Yeesh! All those lines were written by this guy named William Shakespeare about 400 years ago. Miss Gleason says he was the greatest English writer in the history. I say he's not even writing in English. It sounds like gibberish to me. I wonder what gibberish means. Maybe it kind of sounds crazy. On Monday morning, after a whole week of that stuff, we came to class hoping to wave goodbye to poetry. The day started with good news. We've almost finished our poetry unit, Miss Gleason said. Lots of the guys cheered, and someone whistled. It could have even been me. But I should have known better. Good news and bad news are like lightning and thunder. When you see one, you know the other is coming. And I didn't have long to wait. So the good news was the poetry unit was coming or had finished. I wonder what the bad news is. I think you will have to wait till next time till we read chapter 2, The Bad News. I hope all of you are doing great. And I hope right now you can be able to tell your parents or someone around your house what happened in this little chapter, because that's what good readers do. They are able to listen to a story read aloud and be able to retell it. Remember what that's called? When we retell a story from beginning, middle to end, say it out loud. Hopefully you either said plot or sequencing events, putting the story events in order from beginning to middle to end. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson, and I will look forward to seeing you again very soon. Kiss your brain. Give yourself a big hug, because that's from me, and I love you so much, and I cannot wait to see you soon. Take care of yourself and be good. Listen to your parents.